So we got a stupidity waiver here from Chris that came to us all the way back in December of last year. That's how long this has been sitting. From Chris, he says, I was 14. I had been coerced into assisting a neighbor clear a large amount of debris and brush on a large property. We had a large burn pile in the backyard that was mostly dried leaves and grass clippings. We added all the green cuttings on top of this to end up with a pile roughly 7 foot tall. I had purposely left a small opening on one side of the pile, an open in the top, with the intent of lighting the dry stuff in the middle. This should have let the fire breathe and rapidly heat and hopefully dry out the greener cuttings enough for them to burn. Keep in mind, this process had been 8 to 9 hours of myself and 2 other individuals. 2 other guys helping just left just short of finishing, so I was by myself working to get the last little bit dragged from the front of the house to the pile in the back. At some point, the older homeowner walked out to the burn pile and doused all of the green branches with gasoline. It was later estimated to be near 2 gallons while I was in the front yard.
Oh, he didn't even know?
He didn't even know.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I had no idea this happened. As Murphy would have it, as I came around with the last branch to throw on the pile, a mild wind picked up. Not super strong, but just enough that I didn't smell the fumes from my upwind position of the pile. I had a bunch of old newspapers I had twisted into long paper fuses I had already stuffed into the pile at the beginning of this process.
This is going to be bad.
I kneeled down to the base of the opening I left to light this monstrosity of a pile with a long stick lighter.
Boom.
At this point, time stopped. I felt a rush of air from behind me coming into the opening. I hear a very low-pitched roaring sound, but it isn't very loud yet. Suddenly, I'm surrounded by fire and rushing air. The roaring sound became a boom that knocked me back a few feet. The rush and rumbling boom shook the ground, so much so that 2 neighbors from 2 doors down came out to see what happened. As I'm falling backwards, I see a 30-foot tall fireball rising like a mushroom cloud from the pile. It was at this point that I was overwhelmed by the smell of burnt hair.
I knew it!
All I could see at this instant was my arms. There was no hair left, just little burnt balls where the hair had been.
Yeah.
I ran to the garden hose and began hosing myself off, convinced I was on fire. This is when the... This is when the homeowner came out to check on what had happened. He, a 78-year-old man with a walking cane, then froze as he looked at me. His look went from concern to uncontrolled laughter. Like that. He started laughing so hard that he fell down and pissed himself.
Okay, well, at least nobody got actually hurt. It's more like an inconvenience kind of thing.
In his hysterical laughter, he managed to squeak out some words that basically told me I needed to see myself in the mirror. I ran to the bathroom, and I was presented with my red face resembling a sunburn. No eyebrows, no eyelashes, and burnt and singed hair nearly back to the midline of my head.
That's what we're talking about.
I look like a burnt version of those Chinese kung fu hairstyles that start at the center line of the dome.
He went from 0 to 50 in 10 seconds.
Woo!
I've seen that happen in the Army. So.
Yeah. I didn't suffer any long-term effects, but I spent the summer wearing hats and staying out of sight while I was waiting for the hair to grow back. It never fully grew back, though.
Wow.
To this day, my hairline never returned to its pre-burn location. I have like 10 to 12 eyebrow hairs on each side and very thin, light eyelashes. But I didn't die, so I cashed in a stupidity waiver that day.
Yes,
I'm not even sure if that's necessarily a stupidity waiver because you didn't douse
You didn't
the
do
pile.
it. Yeah, you didn't do it.
That wasn't on you. That was more like a, let's see what happens. Like the old man.
Yeah.
What could go wrong?
What could go wrong? Listen, in the Army when I was in the Sinai, Egypt, I used to be a shit burner, field sanitation.
Shit burner.
And I used to actually have to burn the human shit, and it was terrible.
Oh, I'm sure that smell was...
But it was me and this other guy named Hurst, and I was up in the guard tower, so it was Hurst's day to burn shit.
Ooh, excuse me.
So we had 5-gallon cans of gasoline to use for the generators. Well, two of these 5-gallon things of gasoline had been sitting there for years. And it stalled out the generator, so we just had like 9 gallons of fuel. And he decided that he was going to burn up the gas in the burn barrel.
Oh.
Yeah.
Now, this is a stupidity waiver.
Yeah, this is right here. So he's like pouring it in there, and then it's flaring up. And I'm watching the whole thing from the tower going, this guy's going to die. And of course, I was a PFC or E4 at the time, so I didn't have my someone's going to die thing yet.
Someone's going to die.
So he loses, like it flares up, and he goes, and he drops the 5 gallons of gas.
Gas?
In the burn barrel that is on fire. So there's like this column of fire going up, and I'm like, hey, Emma, get away from it. Does he listen to me? No. He walks over and gets a picket, which is a long piece of metal used to put up to anchor in concertina wire, because we had 2 rows of triple concertina wire around our entire OP. And he starts hitting the can. And guess what happened?
Oh, no.
Boom. It
Booyah.
blew up. There was a 60-foot mushroom of fire. And he, too, didn't have one eyebrow, one eyelash, and, he basically burned off a good 3 inches of his hair.
Oh,
so he just took it down to the nub.
To the nub.
Yeah. And we all come, everyone in the OP comes running out, and I'm going, it wasn't me.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, fire's a bitch, man. What are you doing? That's how you die.
That is how you die.
Watch Grunt Speak live every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And if you want to join Pop for Supporters Sundays, go to redonkulous.com/donate and make a monthly pledge. A link is in the Meat Gazer box.